Over the weekend, Barack Obama yielded to public pressure and perhaps even watched the Young Turks. He is going to be going before Congress to make his case for war with Syria, for congressional support for launching an attack in Syria. We've got him defending that move. Let's watch.
I've made a decision that America should take action, but I also believe that we will be much more effective, we will be stronger if we take action together as one nation. I would not be going to Congress if I wasn't serious about consultations and believing that by shaping the authorization to make sure we accomplish the mission, we will be more effective. The military plan that has been developed by our Joint Chiefs and that I believe is appropriate is proportional, it is limited, it does not involve boots on the ground. This is not Iraq and this is not Afghanistan. This is a limited, proportional step.
So we, among many other members of the media and politicians, had been telling him that you should go before Congress. I said that I think historically he doesn't have to, but that he should in any event. But I love that despite the fact that he is now doing that, he will be going before Congress in the week of September 9th. They will hold a vote, according to John Boehner. He was immediately criticized. So we're going to play some of the videos of politicians criticizing him for doing what they've been saying he should do, and then we'll respond. We're going to be starting with Representative Peter King. Now, in his defense, before the announcement on Saturday, he said that he doesn't feel that the president has any obligation to go before the House that he is a part of. Let's watch.
Congressman King, you have called this an abdication of the president's responsibility as commander-in-chief. From my civics books, I thought I remember the president is supposed to go to Congress before he takes military action.
No, he's not. The president, as commander-in-chief, has absolute constitutional and statutory power to take military action. President Eisenhower, President Reagan, President Clinton all took it. Even under the War Powers Act, he's authorized to do it. And if he says this issue is as important as it is, and sending so many mixed signals over the last, really over the last year, and certainly over the last 10 days, this is a clear failure of leadership. And if he feels so strongly about it, and if he doesn't want to take the action himself, then he should call us back into session tomorrow. I mean, we can't be waiting 9-10 days and allowing Syria to prepare for this and sending such a mixed signal to the world, and particularly to Iran. If we can't stop Syria on a red line with chemical weapons, how can anyone expect us to stop Iran?
So as I said, I believe that he is at least being somewhat intellectually consistent with his position before the announcement. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he's absolutely being intellectually honest to what he believes. He doesn't think the president, regardless of whether it was Bush or Obama, has to have congressional authorization, and he's backing down on it. In a way, he's being far more honest, actually, than Obama's being, because Obama, when he said we're going to do this, also said, I don't need to do it, but I'm going to do it just to be nice. Ironically, if he loses the vote, which he won't, which has become very clear today, he would have still gone forward with it. So I can't believe I'm sitting here defending Peter King, but nothing Peter King said is dishonest related to anything else he's previously said.
Well, what I would like to hear is what's the legal authority? You know, he says he absolutely has a statutory right to do this. Well, what is that? You know, please elucidate. Please tell us more. Is
Well,
this
they
under,
all do it.
You're
is
saying
it
Peter
under
King
the
or
War Powers
Obama?
Act? Is it under something else? I would like to hear what the specific legal authority is relating to this, because, you know, there are certain constraints within the War Powers Act that would not necessarily apply in this case, because they haven't articulated what the immediate danger to U.S. national interests is. You know, talk about these things. Be specific.
Mm-hmm. Right, and ironically, we already did this once with Obama. I mean, he already did this in Libya without getting congressional authorization. So if for all the people that are demanding he gets it now, and I'm one of them, I believe if we're going to do this, which I don't want to do, we should go through Congress, he already has a precedent of not doing it the first time. So it's a little hypocritical for all these people because they were on the bandwagon when he was really popular the first time.
Well, it's nice to see Representative Peter King upset that Barack Obama wants input from the representatives of the people on whether we should start a fucking war or not. That is amazing. He's upset. Peter King, goddamn democracy? Holy shit. You would think I was elected to some kind of a democratic body that was supposed to represent the will of the people. 25% of the people, by the way, only 25% believe that this is going to be a limited strike. So the overwhelming majority of people don't believe our leaders once again. Why should we? They've been lying to us all along. Barack Obama, the Peace Prize winner, here just wants us to go to war one more time. Just one more time. And that's the thing about those peace prizes, John. Nobody ever tries to win a second one.
Well, look, as to Desi, you brought up the legal authority, and I don't know particularly what specific law they're going to cite, but at least philosophically, John Kerry and Barack Obama on Saturday sort of echoed the same message that this is about punishment for crossing the red line and using chemical weapons, which is, it's sort of supporting the idea that there is this international code of conduct when it comes to war. But the problem with using that as a philosophical basis for this intervention is that the UN has been consistently coming out seemingly every 6 hours and saying, don't do this is a bad idea. And so I don't know exactly where that leaves Barack Obama in terms of making the case.
And where does it leave all of us when it comes to this idea that we have these international norms against the use of chemical weapons, which, you know, I actually too agree with people to a certain extent that chemical weapons are morally different from regular conventional warfare on your own people, you know, but there's all kinds of, you know, problems with that. But, you know, with that in mind, where do we go then with chemical weapons? Is if there is no line, then there is no line.
Yeah, and that's the irony of the whole thing, because it's Obama who has preached how important the UN is and how I'm going to be so reverse of Bush, who now has realized the reality that anyone could have seen a long time ago, that you can't do anything from the UN, even if we were to even agree that this was a just war. Well, he can't get it done through the UN because of China and Russia. Yeah. So he, in his own backwards way, is the one unmasking the absurdity of the UN, which is pretty ironic.
You know, the problem, I think the bigger problem here is that this is, to me, this all seems much to do about nothing. You're really upset that Assad killed 100,000 of his own citizens, and now he killed a couple hundred of them with chemicals. Now we have to step in and do something after we let Israel use phosphorus in Gaza. We're not against chemical weapons. We're only against them sometimes, and we're also known liars about people who have chemical weapons, and it doesn't make any sense that Assad would gas his own people. They're winning the war right now. All eyes are on him. Why would he do that? So how do we know this isn't a false flag operation? So thank God they're not rushing to war anymore like they were last week. Barack Obama was just going to go, but now he's decided to ask the Congress after we saw a little democracy happen over in England, right? So Peter King sees that happen. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with those people? Why are they talking this out and coming to a rational decision? Why can't we just start bombing? We have to bomb. And it's funny when he goes, you know, this isn't Afghanistan, this isn't Iraq, this is Syria, a whole new quagmire.
Yeah,
you spell them differently, so in his defense.
Sure. That's true. Look, I don't know if I want to. I don't want to get into a huge philosophical debate about the difference between chemical weapons and other weapons, but I would say, at least at the most basic point, you can certainly argue that Obama is being dishonest. That's not really why we're going in. It's to support the military-industrial complex, or it's to drive up the cost of oil or something like that. You can make that case. I think that's perfectly fair to try to make. But in terms of the difference between chemical weapons and conventional arms like bullets, bombs, and missiles and things of that sort, the red line exists, and we need to respond to stepping across it, not because killing 100 or 1,000 people in Syria is a misuse of chemical weapons or it's too bad, especially in, you know, it's 1% of the total casualties in Syria, but it's that we need to do this before wars of the future. If some sort of regional or possibly world war were to break out in the future, we're not talking about 1,000 people. We're talking about hundreds of thousands or possibly millions of civilians that would be targeted by these weapons that by their very nature are less effective against the organized militaries of countries and are far better at killing civilians in densely populated urban areas.
So you're saying that we think we should maybe make a strike because they violated this rule that we've all agreed upon as a rule about humanity.
Well, I don't think he's saying we should make a strike. I think he's saying that there is a moral difference between conventional weaponry versus chemical weaponry, and then what do we do and then?
But my point is then, so if we're going to launch bombs to solve that problem about people crossing the line of humanity, well, we already are practicing inhuman tactics right here in the United States. So how many of those bombs are we going to point towards our prison, our industrial complex, where we put people in solitary confinement indefinitely, which is torture? We tortured our own soldier. We're torturing everybody. We're committing war crimes all over the place, and nobody's bombing us because of it. But we get, it seems very nitpicky, is what I'm saying. It seems inconsistent, to say the least.
The philosophical debate between chemical weapons and conventional weapons, of course, you could very easily argue that 100,000 deaths in conventional weaponry is just as bad, if not far worse, than the 1,300 in chemical weapons. I think what's ironic about this is when we've been discussing this for the past week, I've been pushing that he has to go to Congress the whole time. And then the second he said he had to go to Congress, it struck me that not only is it a real out for him. It's a real like, oh, look at me, I'm doing what everybody wants me to do. I'm old Barack, I'm back. But not only that, he's taking it back to a group of people that have 15% approval on a good day. You know what I mean? So he's pawning it off to the only group of people that everyone hates. Nobody likes Congress, and we're allowing them to now be the decision makers.